straight. Welcome back to the Arsenal podcast. Back at it again. You get me? Back at it again. Here we are in the last 8 days of the transfer window. And who have we sold? Nobody. Who have we brought in? Almost. Okay, 2 players or 3 because Danny Chibas was with us last season. Anyway, last 8 days, what is Arsenal up to? What can we do? What are we looking at? What can we do in these last 7 days, in these last 8 days? 1 week to go. We are still chasing up the same players, the same names. We haven't brought in anybody. Hausema was last bid was rejected. Thomas Partey is still very confident that Atletico Madrid will keep him. And we have a couple of other alternatives that we are looking at in case we do not get both of them. But do we have enough time for all the negotiations for around 2 players? And if they fail, can we have extra time to go into negotiations with their alternatives? Maybe, but what about selling out the players we do not want? Because it has been always the song that has been made clear that we have to first sell to buy. Who will be getting out of the door and where will they go in the last 7 days? So thank you for joining me once again. Don't forget to smash the like button and give me your comments below. I'm going to be looking at those transfers that could happen at Arsenal in the last 8 days. Transfers that could happen at Arsenal in the last 8 days of the transfer summer. I'll start with Shkodran Mustafi, who has agreed personal terms with Lazio. The player wants to leave. Arsenal want the player to leave, and Lazio are also interested in buying the player. There is no questions about that. But the question is, how much are we going to bag in the sale of Shkodran Mustafi now? Last week I reported and told you that Shkodran Mustafi could be leaving Arsenal at around 10 to 11 million pounds, which Arsenal is not really comfortable with. They would want, or they had valued the player at 15 to 17 million pounds. However, because his contract is running down, and Arsenal know that they need to maximize each and every point of revenue, we might actually go for the 10 million if they can give us a big portion of the money as front cash. I'm very convinced that we might actually sell the man himself, Shkodran Mustafi, to Lazio. One player who doesn't have any hopes and chances of playing for Mikel Arteta, although he's one of the players that had improved so much under Mikel Arteta, but still I'm not really convinced that he has a place in his team and strategy. So I think with the new project at Arsenal, Shkodran Mustafi has been dumped out. I think it's time for him to leave the club, and in the last 7 days, probably we might see him as one of the players that leave the club to Italy. So Lazio is interested. Personal terms have been agreed, and maybe a fee will be agreed in the coming hours to see that the player actually joins Italy. Now, again, and the other players who could be leaving is Lucas Torreira. Now, Torreira has been in the news for the past 2 weeks. He's going to Torino, he's going to Fiorentina, he's going to Atletico Madrid and other clubs that have seemed interested in the player. However, Torino representatives just broke the news and said, we all want to take Lucas Torreira. He's a top priority, he's a top target, but he is a very expensive player and we would want to take him on loan. Now, Arsenal are not willing to leave the player go on loan. We want to sell him so that we can actually get some money to bring in the top midfielders we are interested in. And that's the only stumbling block in his leaving Emirates Stadium. But still, I see him go to a club like Torino or Atletico Madrid. One of the two will be his possible destination. There is a deal between Arsenal and Torino. However, there is no deal between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid, but the player agreed personal terms with Atletico Madrid. So it will depend on who gives us the money we want, but Lucas Torreira looks to be on the move in the last 7 days of the summer as well. Now, the other player who could be leaving Arsenal is Socrates Papastopoulos, one of those players that have been at Arsenal not for so long, but getting very high wages and obviously falling out of the favor of Mikel Arteta. He's one of the players that Mikel Arteta doesn't seem he's going to be using, and if anything is going to happen, Squadron Mustafi, Socrates Papastopoulos could actually leave Arsenal as a free agent, because he has already told the club that you cancel my contract so that when I go to a club like Napoli, I can get decent money. I can get a big wage. And if Arsenal agree to the terms of Socrates, cancel his contract and then leave him to go as a free agent, he might be one of the players that actually leave the club in the next 7 days. Again, Matteo Guendouzi is linked with a move to Valencia. Valencia also want him, but probably it's gonna be a loan deal at first. Then they will see how he will work, and then probably think about signing him at the end of the summer. Arsenal still would want to sell Matteo Guendouzi because he doesn't have a place with Mikel Arteta, and it seems, although he's young and very talented, he's not the style of player that Mikel Arteta is interested in. So probably in the next 7 days we might be moving Matteo Guendouzi out of the club. What do you think? Do you think Guendouzi should go to Valencia, or should he stay at the club? But I think in the next 7 days that will be also answered. Now, there is a lot of transfer uncertainty around Florent Balogun, one of those players that have really impressed in the Arsenal academies, but have refused to pen down a new deal. I don't know why. I don't know why we cannot convince the young man to stay at the Emirates Stadium. And of course, if he stays very, very stubborn, Arsenal is going to have no option other than sell him, with 2 clubs interested, that is Brighton and Brentford. So, Florent Balogun, I'm really sorry to say this, but in the next 7 days, if he doesn't agree a new deal, he would be one of those players that we are going to use to finance the moves of Thomas Partey or Houssem Aouar. Looking at the players that we might sell, those are the names, but who might be coming in at Arsenal. I start with the man himself, Houssem Aouar, who has been in the news for the past 72 hours. Very, very closely linked with Arsenal. After agreeing personal terms, our job is just to agree a price between Lyon and Arsenal. Now, that is the biggest problem we have, because Jean-Michel Aulas just won't let us, get the man for cheap. We are going in with a 35.5 million bid. You know that it was rejected. Now we are planning to go back with a second bid, which would be around 40 plus million. It must be clocking to 50 million euros, according to reports from Sky Sports. But still, before we go in, with that bid, we cannot get the player. Now it seems that Lyon are very confident that we are going to come back with the money they want, and they're not on any pressure. But still, if anything goes as planned, I think Arsenal in the last 7 days could bring in Houssem Aouar if nothing goes wrong. I have to add that, if nothing goes wrong. The other player who could actually be on his way to Arsenal could be Boubakary Soumaré. He has been linked with Arsenal in the past 24 hours as a possible Thomas Partey alternative. Now, Thomas Partey has been our transfer priority for the last 4 weeks, 6 weeks of the transfer summer, but it seems we have also failed to get him, just like Manchester United are failing to get Jadon Sancho. Now, again, if we do not get Thomas Partey, that doesn't mean that our midfield will be sorted. So we need to get a very good alternative, and that could be Boubakary Soumaré. Lille will be asking for around £35 million. That is the least amount they would expect to get from Boubakary Soumaré. 21 years of age, and he still has a big contract tying him to the Lille Metropole. So we have to get a lot of hard work to pull him off from Lille Metropole. But still, I think the good relations we have with Lille in the past transfer deals could actually help us land the player, because we have both Gabriel Magalhaes, Nicola Pepe, as well as Javino Yaokwasi from the side. So probably that transfer history could be on our side if we want to get Boubakary Soumaré. But still, as part of the quest to bring in a CDM, we are looking at Diawara as well. Now, Diawara, Amadou Diawara plays with Roma, and you guys know that he's valued at around £27 million. One player that every club would want to have. The problem is no one is interested apart from Arsenal. Now, Arsenal are believed to be thinking of a 30 million euro bid, which is around 27 million pounds, to go for the player, but that is after we confirm that it's totally done. We cannot get Thomas Partey. Guys, with all that said and done, there is nothing more we can do in this transfer summer in the last 7 days. That is all we can do. Move on the deadwood and bring in the top quality players. We have, like I said, in the last 7 days, in the last week of the transfer summer, probably Arsenal could move on Shkodran Mustafi to Lazio with personal terms already agreed. Boubacar Soumaré could also be on his way to Arsenal if Arsenal are very sure they can pay the 30 million pounds Lille is asking for. Aouar is the other alternative to Thomas Partey because Thomas Partey looks set to stay at Atletico Madrid. Pereira could also be on his way out of the club to Torino or to Atletico Madrid. Not a long deal, Arsenal still maintaining it. It must be a permanent deal. And Socrates and Guendouzi could also be leaving the club as well, plus Balogun to finance the moves of Aouar and Thomas Partey. And lastly, Aouar and Partey still remain our two priority transfer targets in this summer. Have a nice evening.